From the time we were kids, we were taught that there are three primary colors: red, yellow and blue. And we learned that those three primary colors combine in pairs of two to form the secondary colors that are green, purple and orange. But is that all there is to it? Hey there and welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Shivani and I'm an artist and entrepreneur based in the sunny city of Chennai in the south of India. Through my channel, I teach you how to improve your skills as a gouache artist and as a creative business owner. If those are topics that interest you, be sure to hit the subscribe button below so that you don't miss any of my future videos. In today's video, we're talking all about primary colors. I'm sure that you've found, if you've tried color mixing, that at some point your colors end up looking really muddy. And there's a reason for that. What we've learned about the color wheel and about primary colors just isn't the whole picture. There's more to it. So every primary color has a warm tone and a cool tone. Let's start painting and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So here's a more complex kind of color wheel that I created using both warm and cool tones for every primary color. So there are 2 shades of yellow, 2 shades of red and 2 shades of blue used in this color wheel. If you'd like to know more about this color wheel and how you can get access to be able to download this color wheel for yourself, be sure to stick around until the end of the video because I'm going to tell you all about that. So let's start by looking at all the colors that I used for this color wheel. For yellow, the first color that we have is primary yellow and the second color is permanent yellow deep. I'm just going to be swatching all of these colors as they are on my sketchbook here so that you can understand the difference between them. At first, it can be a little confusing as to what warm and cool primaries are and how to distinguish between them. As you must already be knowing from the standard color wheel, usually all the colors between yellow to purple, that is yellow, orange, red violet, all of those colors are typically considered warm colors because they're more reminiscent of warm sunny tones. Whereas the colors on the other side of the color wheel, that is between purple to green, so purples, blues and all the greens, are considered cool colors. These have a more cooling effect visually and therefore they are categorized as being cool colors. So it can be confusing sometimes to think of primary colors as being warm primaries or cool primaries because we typically associate red and yellow as being warm colors and blue as being a cool color. So how you identify it is to understand that each color has a bias towards another color. So for example, a warmer yellow would be one that has a bias towards orange, whereas a cooler yellow would be one that has a bias towards green because green is a cool tone. The same thing goes for the other 2 primaries as well. Let's take blue as an example. So for blue, the 2 colors that we have here are primary blue and ultramarine. You'll notice when you paint with it that ultramarine definitely has a bias towards purple, and purple is definitely leaning more towards the warmer side of the color wheel because it's created using red. So since ultramarine forms better purples and has a bias towards creating purples, it's considered as a warmer primary. Whereas primary blue, on the other hand, has a more cool undertone to it and it creates really vibrant greens, which is why it's considered a cool primary. We'll now swatch the reds as well. So these are primary red and spectrum red. And then we'll go on to start mixing some secondary colors to illustrate exactly what I'm explaining to you. When you start mixing secondary colors with this understanding of warm and cool primary colors, it's very easy to understand why some colors give you muddy mixes. Let's start by mixing purple. So you remember how I told you ultramarine forms the most vibrant purple? Let's mix a purple using primary blue instead. And let's use spectrum red, which also doesn't have a bias towards purple. So spectrum red has a bias towards orange and primary blue has a bias towards green. But let's mix these two together and see what happens. You can already see that the color is not looking very vibrant at all. It's quite murky as a purple. Instead, now let's try mixing ultramarine, which definitely has a bias towards purple, and let's mix it with primary red, which also has a bias towards purple. Now when we create this mix, you can see on the palette itself that the color is looking so much more vibrant than the first one that we mixed. I'm also going to mix both of these colors with a bit of white, just so it's easier for you to see and understand the color that's been mixed. When you mix it with white, you can easily see the undertones, and you can now see that the color on the left is just a lot more grey and dull compared to the color on the right, which is a nice vibrant purple. Now let's do the same activity and mix a green. So for this green, I'm again first going to use colors that are not biased towards green. So let's use permanent yellow deep, which has an orange bias, and let's use ultramarine, which has a purple bias. Now again you can see that this green is really deep and not very vibrant at all. It's a very swampy green, which of course has its own applications. All of these colors have their own applications, but you don't want to be unintentionally mixing a muddy color when you actually want a color that's bright and vibrant, which is where it's really helpful to understand why these mixes happen, so that you can choose the right primary colors to work with to achieve the color that you're after. So now let's mix a much more vibrant green, for which I'm going to use primary yellow, which has a green bias, and primary blue, which also has a green bias. I don't even have to point it out to you. You can clearly see how much more bright this color is looking in comparison to the first one. And now let's mix our final secondary color, which is orange. In orange, in the colors that I have, you may not see too much of a difference when it comes to the brightness of the orange. Both of these reds combine with both of these yellows to form pretty vibrant oranges, but you will see a difference between them. So first let's use primary red, which has a purple bias, and we'll use it with primary yellow, which has a green bias. So both of these are not biased towards orange. You do end up with a nice orange color, but it definitely isn't as vibrant as it could be. For the next color, let's mix up permanent yellow deep, which has an orange bias, and spectrum red, which also has an orange bias. And this color is just so much more punchy and vibrant as an orange, and I feel like I made it a little bit too much towards red, so I'm just adding in a bit more of the yellow and just painting over that again. But you can definitely see the difference, especially when you mix it with white. You can see the difference in the saturation and brightness of these colors. So learning to identify warm and cool primaries is such a great tool to have for your own art journey, because you're just going to be able to mix exactly what colors you're after, and you're going to understand how pigments interact with each other. By the way, you can learn all of this from me in much more detail, and I'll even teach you how to identify these colors, and I'm going to tell you all about that in just a little bit. Understanding what I just taught you about warm primaries and cool primaries really helps you understand how to avoid muddy mixes. I elaborate a lot more about all of that in my recently launched mini course about color mixing. The course is called Pigment of Your Imagination, and you can find the link below. Through the course, I want to help you understand color mixing so that you can mix any color that you desire. I explain all of these concepts about color mixing and about color theory in so much more detail, and mainly it comes with a guidebook where I provide you all of my color mixing charts that I've created using 16 shades of gouache that I own. It comes with a really detailed color wheel along with mixing charts for every single color. Not only that, they come with explainers in every section of this guidebook so that you can understand these concepts a lot better and you can understand how to make the most of it. The mini course also comes with 3 video lessons which teach you all of these concepts that I'm talking about right now in so much more detail. Plus you have lifetime access to it, so it's there on your fingertips anytime you need to refer back to it. Through this course, I want to help you become a master of color mixing and discover the joys of color mixing, which is what made me fall in love with it. My aim of this guidebook and mini course is to equip you with all the knowledge you need and simplify everything for you so that you can become a master of color mixing and you no longer have to feel intimidated by it. We all know the feeling where we're just so scared of color mixing, and every time we want to mix colors they end up really muddy, so we just give up with painting with them altogether, or we give up color mixing altogether. If not that, we end up going to the store and picking every single color of paint that we see on the racks because we're so afraid of color mixing, and we end up spending way more money than we have to. We end up with tubes of paint in our home that don't even end up getting used. But this course is going to cost you a lot less than buying that many tubes of paint, and it's going to save you all of this hassle, and it's just going to make you fall in love with color mixing the way I did. It's running on an early bird discount right now, so make sure you don't miss that. Go ahead and click the link in my description and I'll see you inside the course. Thank you so much for watching this video, and like I said, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. If you want to know more about working with gouache, be sure to check out this playlist right here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.